The number of domestic terror attacks in the last few days has had me thinking about one thing. What would any of these investigations be like if conspiracy theorist and Trump MAGA cult member Kash Patel was running the FBI? Republicans are still lying about the man who ran down, shot, and killed at least 14 people in New Orleans, calling him an illegal immigrant, when law enforcement officials have clearly refuted that and stated that Shamsu Dinjabar is a Texas-born military veteran. But with Kash Patel as the director of the FBI, would he continue to lie to the American public to please dear leader Donald Trump? My bet is yes, he would. My name is Suri Crowe, and you are watching the MeidasTouch Network. Let's get into it. Another alarming case that looks like it could have the makings of a planned terror attack against President Joe Biden is unfolding right in my own backyard. On December 17th, FBI agents arrested Kenneth Spafford at his Virginia farm, where they found the largest cache of homemade ready-to-go explosives in FBI history. More than 150 pipe bombs, according to the criminal complaint, which was filed in the Eastern District Court of Virginia, although Spafford is currently charged on just a single complaint for illegally possessing a short barrel rifle. And the judge initially ordered him released on only $25,000 bail to home confinement with his mom until prosecutors pushed back for a stay, arguing that Mr. Spafford poses, quote, an extreme danger to the community. Let me break it down for you because this is a wild story that's not getting much media attention. According to court documents, the FBI has been tracking Kenneth Spafford since 2023, when his neighbor and former law enforcement officer noticed that Spafford was missing 3 fingers after handling explosives, and allegedly told this neighbor that he was making about 50 rounds of ammo a day, and that Spafford and his friends, quote, were preparing for something that he would not be able to do alone. So he, the neighbor, reported this to the FBI and in turn became an FBI informant. He also reported that Spafford was sniper training using photographs of President Biden as the target, and revealed to the informant that he wanted to, quote, bring political assassinations back. And that after the assassination attempt on Trump last summer, he told the informant that he hoped that somebody didn't miss Kamala, in reference to Vice President Harris. Now, despite Spafford denying to federal agents that he had any explosive devices on his property, when FBI agents eventually did search Spafford's 20-acre farm in Smithfield, Virginia, they discovered explosives everywhere. In a detached garage, they found lethal homemade IEDs everywhere, in vests, in backpacks, including a jar in the freezer that held an explosive material so volatile, according to court documents, that the slightest friction could detonate it. And agents say Spafford had it stored in a freezer next to a bunch of hot pockets in the same house where his wife and young children lived. Court documents note that several of the homemade explosives were too unstable to transport, and that bomb technicians had to detonate them at Spafford's farm. Here is an excerpt from that criminal complaint. Quote, the defendant has the undisputed know-how, resources, and extreme inclination to manufacture and stockpile improvised explosive devices. Even after losing his own fingers as a result of his homemade explosive materials, he made the apparent remarkable decision to keep an extraordinarily dangerous explosive material in the home's freezer next to food items that could be accessed by the entire family. And while he is not known to have engaged in any apparent violence, he has certainly expressed interest in the same through his manufacture of pipe bombs marked, quote, lethal, his possession of riot gear and a vest loaded with pipe bombs, his support for political assassinations, and the use of pictures of the president for target practice, and his belief that no lives matter. This No Lives Matter group that Spafford apparently has ties to is a violent right-wing extremist group, according to New Jersey's Office of Homeland Security, where I went and looked up how they define this sort of nihilistic group. And here is an excerpt from that website. In July 2024, No Lives Matter shared a post on its Telegram channel to announce a partnership with Mordwaffen Division, a European neo-Nazi group, stating No Lives Matter plus Nordwaffen, Deadly Alliance, and support your local Nazi terrorists. In 2023, No Lives Matter partnered with a Russian-based WRME group, Maniac Murder Cult, abbreviation MKU, based on Russian translation, to co-author the No Lives Matter Kill Guide, which provided attack tactics, techniques, and procedures. Several pages in the guide reference MKU, calling the group its, quote, brothers in arms, and stating No Lives Matter and MKU, we can strike anywhere at any time. So you can see the crossover with MAGA cult, the white supremacy, white nationalist leanings, Elon Musk and his embrace of white nationalism, and Trump's embrace of white supremacy. And this is why I wonder if an FBI investigation such as this one, which quite possibly prevented a massive terror attack by Mr. Spafford and potentially some accomplices, would have ever continued under the direction of a Kash Patel. As this person on X put it, blank writes, the FBI recently busted a MAGA with the most bombs in U.S. history. Actually, that would be in FBI history. And I can't stop thinking about how Kash would give that guy a medal or a job. And then Janice Huff posted this. So if Kash Patel were to be confirmed as FBI director and a terrorist act turns out to be committed by a U.S. citizen instead of an immigrant, or if some future heinous crime is committed by a right-wing American, would he bury the truth to please dear leader? Asking for a country. Yeah, it makes you wonder. It's been making me wonder. I've been thinking about this for the last 2 days since this story about Mr. Spafford broke. Like, what would this look like if Kash Patel had the reins of the FBI? It is truly concerning and frightening. And one more glaring reason, in my opinion, why Kash Patel should absolutely not be confirmed as FBI director. Listen to this clip from Amanda Carpenter. She's a former Republican. She actually used to be, I think, the public relations person for, of all people, Ted Cruz. And she's speaking about the dangers of confirming Kash Patel as the FBI director. Listen in.
I think we need to think about what is the purpose and mission of the FBI, and that is to prevent terrorism, prevent things like cybercrime, and prevent malign foreign influences in this nation. And you talk about the mission that the FBI has heroically performed in the days after 9/11 and through that to protect this nation. And aside from asking what Kash Patel would affirmatively do that is in contrary with our democratic values and going after political enemies, I think you have to ask about what won't be done at the FBI in that scenario, right? Once the focus shifts. Kash Patel, as you mentioned, you put up the enemies list. He describes people like Sarah Isgur Flores, who I worked with in the past, along with people like Liz Cheney, as the greatest threat to democracy. That is an absurd, untrue statement. To compare, to even put those people on any kind of list as a threat to this nation in comparison to what the FBI should be focusing on and doing is such an abject lack of focus on the true purpose of that job. And listen, like, let's be real. We live in a dangerous world right now, right? There's all kinds of things happening. There are people who are watching our officials closely. And if he does go through with his intended promise to dismantle the FBI, just at a base practical level, what does that mean? And what kind of national security vacuum will exist in that kind of environment? These are the kind of questions. I know Republican senators on the Hill are reluctant to oppose this nomination. I think there's maybe too much focus caught up in the fact that he's a loyalist. And maybe we should start really zeroing in these practical questions of what happens when the FBI takes its focus on real threats to this nation and decides that people on that list are more deserving of attention.
So you've got this guy, Spafford, stockpiling lethal explosive devices on a Virginia farm, possibly working with white supremacy terrorist groups, but with Kash Patel in charge, he might very well derail an investigation like that to focus on somebody like Liz Cheney or a journalist. I mean, it's truly disturbing. And just to put a wrap on this Virginia story, Spafford is still incarcerated. As is often the case, the feds have charged him with a single lesser illegal weapons charge, but that's because they are building a larger case on him, and why they immediately pushed back on this magistrate judge who wanted to release him. Prosecutors argue that Spafford is so dangerous that he's a risk even for pre-trial officers who would be going out to his farm to check on him to make sure that he was not continuing to build more ammunition. There was so much work done by the FBI just trying to build this case as I was reading through the court documents and trying to prevent a potential terror attack here. And if you look at the investigations going on across the country, there was another one in New York where a van rolled over these Jewish mothers, the one in New Orleans, the one that happened at Vegas that's now stretched out into Colorado Springs. You just think about all of the people power that's going on, all of the agents and cross investigations that's happening. And when you think about Trump's cabinet picks, they all appear to be selected for the specific purpose of destroying the agency for which they will be the head of. That is a very bad thing for America and for America's national security. So I've already reached out to my senators, one who is on the Intelligence Committee, Senator Mark Warner. I have not heard back from his office yet. Hopefully I will tomorrow because, I want to hold my senators accountable as a journalist and also as a citizen. What are you going to do to make sure that people like Kash Patel are not confirmed to these powerful positions? This is our national security is at stake here. My name is Suri Crowe. Thank you for watching this video. Please share this video. Let's get it out to as many people and eyeballs as we can because we're short on time as these confirmations are coming down the pike with Trump ostensibly going into office very soon. It's important that we get this information in front of as many eyes and ears as we can. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Comment below. And as always, peace.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.